Sarah, hello and welcome on the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. How you doing?
Good.
So this is fun. I was going through Instagram and I stumbled across your cupcake Instagram and sent you a message. And we're going to show everybody this. Actually, I'll bring this in now just because you have a fantastic website and your social media is really a lot of fun. So I sent you a message and say, hey, I'd love to learn more about your small business and how you do all that. And lo and behold, you're still a junior in Emmaus High School.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you currently do? I mean, besides the cupcake stuff, we'll get into that. But what are some of your current interests as a high school student?
Yeah. So I play softball. I play for the PA Batbusters. That's my team. That's like my biggest competitor with my softball, with my cupcakes with time and everything. And then I also play for my school softball team. So I'm really into that. And then also I'm in like some clubs at school, like Horn Ambassador, Freshman Mentor. Those are mostly like leadership type things with like mostly service type things. And then also I just got inducted into NHS. So that was really exciting too. So it's like interesting to compare like the small high school victories versus like my small business victories. So it's always fun to compare those types of things.
How is again, I'm putting off cupcakes for a minute. How has high school been? Must have been a crazy year for you. I mean, from the end of last year going into this year, must have been crazy. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, it's really tough. We've been like back and forth online and in school. So last year we ended March 13th and I wasn't back until like October of this year because there was shortage of, I think it was nurses at our school. They didn't have enough, so we couldn't go in. And then we were doing hybrid, but we were only in for like 2 weeks. And now this is my second week of going back to school in hybrid. And it's kind of weird because there's not a lot of people there. Like my sister's like the only person that I know that goes in. But the second semester just started today. And so I'm really hopeful I got new classes. So I'm excited for that. But also like I was nervous for my new classes, nervous for this podcast.
No, don't be nervous. I'm more nervous because I think it's just fantastic that at your age, now we're going to talk about cupcakes, what you're doing and, with all the responsibilities you have. And honestly, with the situation that high school is in right now, I don't know how I would deal with it, thinking about going back into my high school days. That's a lot of pressure. So let's just add some more pressure on it, Sarah, and start with some cupcakes. Tell me your cupcake story. Have you always been, is it something that you've always done since you were a kid, like been into baking, or is this a new thing for you?
Well, ironically, for the longest time, I really liked cooking more than baking. And I was like, baking is just too many measurements and like too many of that. Like,
this was like when you were 4, like were you baking stuff early or cooking and baking early on? Was it like
I started cooking and baking when I was about like, I'd say 12 or 13. And I would make dinner a few nights a week because since I play softball, I would have practice starting at 6 and I wanted to like eat something before. So my parents work. So my mom would just like quick come home, pick us up and take us to practice. So like I would make dinner just because it was really something I like to do and was honestly kind of practical, but I really enjoyed it.
Parents are busy. Yeah, I get it. No knock on the parents. Parents are very right.
Yeah, and then I really enjoyed it, so I started doing it more and more, experimenting with more like dinner things. And then honestly, like during quarantine in the beginning, I was baking a lot, and also I had just gotten my permit, like luckily right before. So that was like I wanted to practice driving, so I was like driving things to my friends and dropping it off. And one of my friends, they were like, this is so good. Like, I really like this cupcake. I made a chocolate peanut butter cupcake. and I gave it to them, and it was right around Mother's Day, and I gave it to them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I really like this." So they asked if they could order some, and I was like, "What? This is what?" I didn't really know.
Like, I just want to, you're just sharing them with your friends.
Yeah. And so I talked to my mom about like prices and stuff and what to do and everything like that. And I think I handled it pretty well because like I never really thought of starting a cupcake business. I didn't really know what to do about that. But then I made it for them, and then they had it for Mother's Day, and that kind of just really sparked it, I guess.
So you're talking this past Mother's Day, so like kind of last spring is when you went forward with it. And it's one thing to, well, first I want to talk about you cooking dinner. Do your parents like that? Because I have a 4-year-old, and if she grew up and started making dinner in 10 years, I don't know how upset I would be about that. I think I would encourage it.
Yeah. So, my parents really like that I like to experiment with dinner, and it's also like, it's fun for me too. So it honestly like agrees with everyone, I guess. But now sometimes I like to experiment, and sometimes my parents are like, I don't even know what these are. Like, I don't know what this ingredient is. So like I like to say that I have like introduced a lot of different meals and new foods like to our family, which is like kind of fun, but also like it's something that I definitely enjoy.
Do you get inspiration? Like, where do you get it? Are you watching travel food programs? Are you on Instagram? Where is it? Where are you finding this stuff?
I go on Instagram a lot and look at that, like Food Network. Actually, before my cupcake account like was what it is now, all only cupcakes, I used to post some dinners that I made and some things that I cooked, other desserts, like other random things. And I called it Sarah's Food Network because that was just like a fun thing for me. But like, that's what I did. And then when I really started to like get into my cupcake business, I'd say probably around like maybe middle of June to July, I like archived and deleted all of those other posts and really like transitioned to it, just cupcake stuff.
I mean, it does feel weird, even with this. It's like, hey, it's the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast, right? But we made that. It was just our idea. And it is weird at first because you're like, well, will other people accept this? Will they like this as much as I do? So what is your response? I mean, clearly people are telling you should sell these. So what was that thing? When you went from your friend saying, hey, can you sell it? And you said you talked to your mom about pricing and all that. Did you go ahead and say, I'm going to start up this website and see what happens?
Well, there's a lot of different like inspirations, I would say. My mom, she owns a bus company. Well, it's been like passed down in her family for I think 60 years, so a long time, but she was just named the president, so that's really inspiring to like own your own business. And my dad, this is kind of like, he never took us anywhere, but when he was in high school, he used to like cut lawns, and he was like, this could be that for you. Like you could make something of this after I got that first order from someone, because I never really thought. And he's like, this could be a fun way for you to make money. I mean, you're going to want to like get gas to drive. This could be like a fun way. And that's honestly how it started, because I needed like money to drive places, and now I can go places with my friends. And
well, I think it's also unique because this is something where, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you can kind of work when you want to. Like you're taking orders and you're saying, okay, I want to do X amount of hours this week to make X amount of money, where you don't have to go, hey, I got to go clock into this job I don't like and sit there for 10 hours and clock out. So there is that kind of flexibility to it.
Yeah. With softball, working is really a challenge. Oh, sorry. That was my computer. I don't know if you heard that.
No, you're good.
With softball, working is really hard. Like there's some girls on my team who have jobs, but they can barely work, and really it's hard to balance with all that, because normally, well, in the fall for a tournament, we would practice from 6 to 9 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturdays and Sundays we usually have tournaments, and those are like whole day things. So that's that's a long time. And then, or we would have a 4-hour practice on Saturday. So it's like a lot of time goes into softball. And then I have school. So it's hard to balance with work, but this really is my schedule, my time. And I never really had to decline an order except for only a few times because of softball and getting a lot of orders. But I feel like it's something I want to stay away from because I always I want to try and make people happy, and I want to try and share my cupcakes with them because it's something that I love and I want to share.
It's smart too to know your boundaries though. If you know, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that order. Sometimes it might be better to say, I'm just, maybe I'll take it next week or something rather than not be able to deliver.
Yeah. And also I was really sad because I got my wisdom teeth out on Friday.
You did?
Yeah. So I had to it was only 2 orders. So that was okay. But I had to switch up the days for that. But it's all these things that you wouldn't expect from an adult that has a business, and it's just me. I have school, I have my wisdom teeth getting out, normal teenager things that are really taking into account of the time that I spend on my business.
You know what if you haven't thought of this already, as you go through or your plans in the future, you could definitely use your business as some sort of project for school as well.
Yeah.
I would definitely think about that if it comes up. So let's talk about making cupcakes, because I don't do that. My wife and my daughter do, and they can make some pretty good ones. I don't know as tasty as some of these look. Wait, I'm going to bring some in. People who are listening can't see this, but when they go to the podcast notes, they can. So what's a typical order for you? Is it a dozen? Is it?
Yeah, I sell by the dozen each flavor. I wish I could mix batches and sometimes, or boxes, do a sampling, but that's something that I would have to make so many different batches, and that's something that a store would be able to do, and something I wish I could do in the future. But now I've been getting into half dozen days where I can I offer half dozen sizes of select flavors, and that was a kit that I split into bags. One of those. I split a kit into separate bags, and it was one of my mom's friends from work, and her and her daughter and some of her daughter's friends had a Zoom, and they all decorated them together. But I had leftover bags and individual containers from when I went to the Zionsville Antique Mall for their Christmas market, and I sold cupcakes individually there and boxes of 4 there. And that was a lot of preparation, and that took a long time because I had to make 600 cupcakes for that, and that was during school, so I had to really manage my time.
I think it's amazing because you are sacrificing. I don't know how much social life you can have right now, considering it's all you have to be so distant. But you're obviously sacrificing some of that, and two, when you're doing this, you're not just opening up a lemonade stand. You're taking time to look at each individual cupcake and really market yourself, which I think is important.
Yeah.
So how do people? I saw on your Instagram, it's easier for people to DM you, to message you directly.
I can take DMs or emails or calls. I get anything, honestly. It just depends because I have my phone number and my email on my website.
Okay.
So people can reach me from there. But I feel having my DMs and private messaging on Facebook is a big one too. I feel having that available is really big because people once they see something, they don't want to have to go to your website and go to your email. They just want to go right away. And I feel that's important. I just have to check that constantly, looking for people who message me in different places because I want to make sure that I can cover all my bases with that.
And it's interesting because I would bet you that there are cupcake places that have been around for a long time, 10 years plus, that don't use their DMs for things like that, So it's awesome.
Well, Instagram has been huge for me, because that's something that I know how to do, and Facebook, I can do that. and I can like publish all my pictures there, and people can really see like what they're getting. And I feel like I can, with the Reels videos also, I feel like I can really try and market myself. And honestly, I've been able to make so many more connections and like get so many more customers through it. It's amazing. Like I never would have thought, especially with being so like we're not able to go that many places. So
Right.
it's not like people are going to find out from me from a party. It's more like ordering for your family for like a birthday, something like that.
Have you gotten, I mean, I'm sure you're getting friends and family. Did you get an order once from like, I don't know, to somebody you didn't know and you're like, wow, this is legit because I don't know this person and they're ordering my stuff?
Yeah, it's really fun to get orders from people I don't know. And it's honestly, I feel like it's sometimes more pressure because I want to make sure it's like exactly perfect. I mean, I always do want to make sure
Well,
it's
your
exactly
friend will give you
perfect.
a pass. Your friend will give you a little bit of a pass, but no,
Yeah.
you're right. Like that person might give you a bad review. So
Yeah. Well, I going to Designsville Antique Mall is really fun, and I've done that twice. And that's where I have like a whole table set up, and I have all of my cupcakes like laid out so you can see them. And I have them in individual containers, so I just sell them like that. And I've met so many people from there, and they've come back and order from me. And it's really like it's really fun when I get another order from a returning customer, because then I know that like I did a good job, and it feels really good when someone comes back,
well,
and
tell me
especially
about
if they
that.
don't know me.
Sure. With Zionsville Antique Mall, are you there regularly? I don't know. Like, are they open
Um,
now for or?
yeah,
Okay.
they're open, but I've only been there twice because for me, like since I'm doing everything by myself, it's really a lot. And
What's
especially
your
with
sister
school.
doing? Can't she help you out? Like,
Well, she helps me sometimes when I'm at Zionsville, but I actually have a sister and a brother, and
yeah,
I feel I don't know, it's more my thing, I guess. Like,
sure. Yeah. I mean, come on. I get it.
yeah,
But so I never want to say long term. Your long term is going into your senior year. You know,
yeah.
what are your plans? Like, I mean, are you kind of just saying, hey, I'm going to continue to try new things and that, or are you? I don't know. You tell me. Like, what are you thinking as you go into this spring?
Well, I definitely want to continue with my business, definitely until I graduate. It's just after that, it gets tricky with college, especially with if I go really far away, I can't really sell them there because then it's a whole entire like new area that nobody knows me. And so I feel like for right now, it's just really focusing on growing as much as I can while I'm still here in the Lehigh Valley. And if I can, like when I'm in college, maybe if I come home for holidays and stuff, I can do holiday orders. But it's really hard to say, like, because I'm not exactly sure where I want to go right now. I'm still trying to research as much as I can. And
Sure.
I definitely want to play softball in college.
I
So
can
that's
I
also,
make a recommendation. You don't have to go there, but Moravian College. That's where I went. They have a great softball team. That's my pitch.
um, yeah, it's really easy to find colleges that have a business major, and I feel like
Sure.
that's definitely I want to major in business because I feel like now I'm learning so much about it's not just making cupcakes, it's like marketing
Right.
them, selling yourself with your cupcakes. And so I definitely feel
Well,
like I need to learn more about that.
sure. I mean, even if you look through, and this is, I'll be honest with you, for people who are listening, I pulled up her Instagram again, which is Sarah J Cupcakes. When I looked at this and I messaged you, I fully anticipated this to be, a new small business that had come up during COVID, which it is. But, I guess my expectation was more that it would be somebody a little older, which is not bad or good. Well, it's not bad. It's fantastic because you've marketed yourself so well that you're not coming off like a high school student in any respect. Like you're coming off, this looks very professional. I would encourage you to follow through with business or marketing.
Yeah, I actually kind of have a funny story. One of my orders, um, it was it was an older woman, and she came to pick them up because I offer pickup or delivery. from my cupcakes, and she came to pick them up, and she thought that my house was my house, that I owned it, and that like I was like 25, and I was like,
Sure.
do I really look like I'm 25? Like, what?
Well, the older she is, you might not,
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, what? But yeah, I don't want to seem unprofessional, and I definitely don't want to scare people away, but I feel like, I don't know, it's weird that it's a 16-year-old selling cupcakes. I don't know. I feel like that would kind of be weird, but also, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's why I said, hey, let's still go with it, because it is weird, but it shows not only that you're able to do this during such a difficult time, but you're doing it through your high school responsibilities. And at the end of the day, say you never make another cupcake after you graduate high school, which I doubt, but it shows just your willingness to follow through with something, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've had a lot of commitments before with like, I used to play basketball also. And so a lot of time management goes into like all my sports and everything. So
Sure.
I feel like it's just one extra thing, like to just add into the chaos. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I thrive in the busy schedule time. Like in the beginning of March, and when we literally weren't able to go to anything, like now I'm lucky that I can actually go to practices wearing masks and stuff. But in the beginning, I struggled a little bit not having anything after school, anything at all going on. It was really weird for me, because that was really like the first time in my life where I literally had nothing to do. And that's probably how I started my business.
And it's different. I mean, in my situation, I have a wife and a kid. We stay at home. It sucks in a way because you're always at home, but it's great that you're with your family. I really couldn't imagine being 16. It was all about being with your friends or being out. I mean, you have your permit. Where do you drive? Like to practice.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah.
But no, I think though what you're doing is something that's going to really benefit you after this is over, which is a good thing. But before we finish, I want to talk about the important stuff, because we haven't talked about any sort of flavors at all. So I don't know if this will be up for Valentine's Day or not. Maybe we can make that happen. But what are some of your favorite? If you had to say, if I said, Sarah, what is the cupcake that you recommend that I definitely, if I'm going to get one cupcake from you, what is it going to be? What can you make the best?
Chocolate peanut butter. That is my personal favorite. It's definitely my most ordered cupcake. But also, obviously, if you have a peanut allergy, like that's probably not good. Like I have a tree nut allergy, so all of my cupcakes are tree nut free. So that is good. But also lemon with lemon cream cheese icing. That's another one of my personal favorites.
What is like your customers' favorites? What are the ones that?
I would say the chocolate peanut butter, definitely. The lemon with the lemon cream cheese. Dark chocolate with vanilla icing.
And does your family get to try all these? Because
well, I just made yesterday that I posted all those pictures of my Valentine's flavors. I just made vanilla cupcakes with strawberry filling and cream cheese icing. And that, to me, that's really good. I like that one because I've never done a filling before in a cupcake. So it was like kind of scary to try because I didn't know how it would turn out. But I definitely like that one. It's different than all my others.
And what do you do for something like that where you encounter a situation where you're like, I'm not sure how to make a cupcake with a filling? Did you do like I would do and go on YouTube?
Yeah, I looked up some recipes, and sometimes I end up like mixing recipes together, but this actually ended up being very similar to how I make my strawberry buttercream and my fruit buttercreams because I really like doing that too, and I feel like that's something different. I cut up the fruit and then I boil it down with lemon juice and salt, and normally I would strain it, so I just get like the juice and stuff, not anything else of the pulp. But for this, I added cornstarch to like thicken it, and that's what I added into the middle of my cupcake. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say like a jam or a jelly situation, but I guess kind of similar to that. except it's homemade, because, you know, I feel like that's really important to have everything be as simple and homemade that I can make it. Like, I don't color icings usually.
And I think that's something that, you know, when people are buying cupcakes like that, they want that little piece of comfort, you know, and to know that somebody put that time and effort to it, and they're not just, no offense to a supermarket, but they're not just going and grabbing one off a supermarket. It means a lot. So listen, I have one more thing to tell you. Go, I don't know if you looked at this. If you're interested, we just did on our Instagram, my daughter did a chocolate truffle tasting. Mm-hmm. If you want, we will totally taste test your cupcakes. You just have to let me know.
Really?
And, yeah. she'll be
I would love to send some to you. I would love to do that.
All right. Well, I'll follow up with an email. And do you want to, let people know? And we're going to put this all in the show notes. So anybody, all the links will be in the show notes. But do you want to tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah. So like I said, all of my contact information is in my website. It's at like the very bottom of the first page, and it's also at the contact page. I believe it's called the contact page. Okay. And like I said earlier, also like DMs on Instagram or on Facebook too.
All right. Well, Sarah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for getting back to me and still going with it. I think this was inspirational for people, maybe who might be thinking, oh, I can do this, but I don't know if I want to get it started or not. Like, it's fulfilling. It's fun. You can see like all that work, but still at the end of the day, I'm sure you feel great and fulfilled that you did it.
Yeah, it's something that I really care about a lot. And it's always the cliche of like, if you love what you do, you never work a day. But I really feel like it's true. Like, I really care about what I make, and I genuinely enjoy making cupcakes. So it doesn't really feel like a burden, except for when I have to make like 600. Then it kind of feels like a lot.
At the end of the day, even if you love what you do, there will always be those days where you're like, man, this is still a lot.
Yeah.
But few and far between. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Sit tight for a second. But I want to thank you again. And hopefully we'll talk to you soon. And hopefully we will try out those cupcakes.